What happened if I drop this glass? Nothing. Why? Because the background never gets affected. It doesn't change. What goes on changing is the personal story, the movement in time, which gives the impression that there is always something happening, a life, a drama, right? Let's say you're looking at the ocean. The wave rises on the top of the ocean. It rolls. It's got a name. It's got an identity. It's got a form. We give it a belief. We give it a tradition. That creates the illusion of separation and the perception that the only thing we think we are is this body, mind. This image is an aspect, an expression of what is. You call it happiness, bliss, consciousness, self, emptiness. We give it many titles, and yet we cannot define it. So for generations, we've been taught that the spiritual search would give us a permanent fulfillment, a permanent contentment, a hope, and a wish for an enlightened life. If it's not in this life, next one, right? So to let go of the limited belief that something is missing in you gives a tremendous relief for the one who's searching in the life of something else. You know, what a relief, what a life-changing, that letting go of that belief that something is missing, when in fact nothing is. And so the wave goes on rolling around the world looking for something, looks around, one day wakes up, turns around and says, oh, what am I doing all this time? Where am I going? I've always been myself. In fact, you are what you are seeking. So I grew up with learning disabilities. I couldn't go to school. I mean, I can't even spell dyslexia, literally. So by the age of 7, I picked up a guitar in order to express myself, which was a blessing in disguise that didn't get fully realized until years later, when I became an illegal immigrant homeless. When I arrived in America, I had this guitar, this luggage that my grandmother gave me, $50 in my pocket, right? Didn't even speak any English. Well, I still don't. Comme ci, comme ça. Try. I'm doing my best. And as I unravel in this journey, you know, in America, something stood up to me. Like, it was obvious to me, but it was invisible, like an invisible disease. And everywhere I traveled and everywhere I went and I met many people, I saw that we had something in common, all of us, a human common suffering, a search, a hunger for desire, And so in that, seeing this experience, seeing the world around me, this thirst for, something more than the desires that we feel we want always something more. Obviously, it created a trend, a new market for new technologies, new sciences, new spiritual practices, and altogether spiritual practices. And so I call this infobesity. Research shows that this overwhelming overload of information can lead to stress, decreased productivity, poor decision making, and altogether a negative impact on our health. So what I'm about to share next, you cannot possibly integrate it intellectually. It's not possible to understand. Because this that occurred, this epiphany along the way, created such a shock to my own system that it absolutely radically defies all schools of thoughts. It demystifies all paths. And what I simply saw for myself in a glimpse was this wheel of suffering, the doubts, the fears, was in fact my imagination. It was a figment of my own imagination when I realized that this mind was the mirror. And in this moment, radically, the whole system of thoughts, the matrix of the mind collapsed. And it all became quite interesting. It all became impersonal and yet so clear. So what I was left with, it was this, despite of all the chaos around me, it was this natural order of life, this fire, this full potential that has no concern whatsoever with happiness, enlightenment, or suffering. It just is. And I don't know how and I don't know why it happened to me. It just happened in a split second. So this liberation of mind, when I saw that the mind was the mirror, it tricks us to believe that there is always something to attain, to maintain, to achieve, to attach or detach from. But what we're seeing now is that we are paralyzed in a society and a culture of entertainment, and we have more than we can chew. We're simply never happy. And why? What is already here? You are already yourself. You've been free all along. So what is this that I'm saying to you today? What is the benefit? That you don't have to be slave by the tyranny of the mind. That you can have a moment of freedom in your life. Just simply don't activate the mind. That's what he wants to do, but just don't look at it. And you'll see you can do it right now. You don't need a practice. This is not a lecture. This is not a teaching. You don't need anything. It's already here. It's your nature. So it's interesting to be free because you notice that you don't need the authority of others You can stand on your own 2 feet with your own power of authority. We're so gullible. We're ready to, to follow the next so-called enlightened being. We spend our money, our time, energy focusing on self-transformation, countless how-tos. Is it going to be enough ever? What are we doing? So the benefit of hearing this is what? Is to indicate to you that you're already free. You can wear an orange robe, meditate all day or for years, or wear a business suit on the way to your business meeting in traffic. It won't change a thing. It won't matter. Because you are looking for what you already are. So give up that search. This ontological search that's been gripping our mind for generation after generation. So this liberation is not to say, oh, you're going to become a rebel of society and do whatever you want. In fact, it's the contrary. There's a perfect order in this life. But we mess it up because we include the mind. And we think the mind is so powerful. In fact, it's so limited. It's so limited. But once you see it, then you can be yourself. You can do whatever you want. But you don't have to be slave by the tyranny of this mind. So I like to leave you with a final wisdom from Krishnamurti. To be ignorant is not to be free of knowledge. Ignorance is the lack of self-awareness. And knowledge is ignorance when there is no understanding of the self. Thank you.